Hello, everyone, and welcome to Molehill Mountain, episode 66. Andrew Eisen here, alone, all alone. Zachary's computer seems to be giving him the finger tonight. Says hard drive? What hard drive? So, unfortunately, he will not be joining us this evening. 'Tis a shame. So, if you have questions or want my thoughts on various topics, feel free to ask away in the chat. Other than that, I'm just going to ramble for an hour about topics that interest me, like Nintendo. Didn't see that coming, did you? But before I get into the Nintendo stuff, I thought I'd talk a little about it, which I still have not seen it. I would like to see it, but it didn't have a matinee last week, so I didn't get to see it because I'm cheap. But it has a matinee this week, so I'll probably see it tomorrow morning. Matthew says we got a shadow drop of sorts with that demo from Square. I don't know what a shadow drop is. What is a shadow drop? And Tavish says I look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I don't think so, but okay. In which decade? um so I talked to my sister last weekend about it, and she was asking me about some specifics because I had read the book when I was a kid. Unfortunately, I was a kid a long time ago. It's been probably uh, 25 years since I've read it, so my memory's a little fuzzy on that. But on the bright side, going to see it is going to be nice because I'm not going to be comparing it too heavily to the book. Well, this didn't happen in the book, or in the book it happened this way. I might do that a little bit depending on what they change, but my memory is pretty soft on that book. I remember enjoying it. I remember some things, but yeah. Matthew says a shadow drop is where you announce something at an event and then release it right there and then. Okay. Yeah. So they announced a demo for Project Octopath Traveler, which, again, I still hope they keep that as the official name. I know they won't, but that's just such a goofy name. I love it. It's also really the first time that I've been sitting here thinking, golly, I wish I had a Switch because I want to play the demo for Project Octopath Traveler, but I have no Switch, so oh well. I will at some point, though. But this is really about 6 months into the system's life. This is the first time I've ever been sitting here going, man, wish I had a Switch. Anyway, back to it. So I originally wasn't that interested in seeing it because I read the book, I saw the miniseries, I've seen it. I mean, unless you're doing something terribly different, I don't much care. Um, but everyone seems to be really into it, so why not? Of course, everyone really seems to like Mother too, and that holds no appeal to me either. At least the trailer is all I've seen. Um, this long-winded intro brings me to the major point I want to make, and it's I managed to come across a picture of it, not a very flattering one, and I took to Twitter saying that th- this is uh, this is fan art, right? I mean, that's someone photoshopping, right? That's not actually from the movie, is it? Apparently, this is in the movie. And I'm like, oh no, no, no. Oh, we're in trouble if that's what Pennywise looks like. goofiest thing I have ever seen. maybe it's really effective in the context of the film. But I look at that and all I can hear is Goofy going you know? Just Pennywise just popping out of the darkness going go. That. I mean, yeah, he's got a mouthful of spiky teeth, but most of them are on the top, which gives him kind of a bucktooth look, and he's got this walleye thing going. Um. So so. God, I hope I don't burst out laughing in the middle of the movie. Like little Georgie gets his arm ripped off, and I start chuckling. It's like, no, I'm sorry, the clown is funny looking. Um, that's one shot of the movie. I'm sure he has various different looks, and I'm sure that's probably like that. I don't know where this picture comes from, but it's probably a still shot of someone's cell phone recording of the movie in the theater. So it probably works a lot better in context, but oh my God, that's the dopiest thing I've seen. Um, but anyway, so I'll probably see the movie tomorrow. So I'll let you know if the movie works or not. I mean, it must work because I've read plenty of reviews and reactions on it, and not a single person has said, "Well, Pennywise looks really goofy." um, then again, he is a clown, so yeah. I gotta close this window because I still have it open in the lower left. Okay, bye bye, Pennywise. Ah, shit. I first saw that at work. And I started giggling, and people were looking at me like I'm psychotic. I said, no, come here, look at this. Um, so another thing I've noticed is that I've seen the trailer for it. Uh, both of them, all three of them, however many there were. And I watched them, as many people do, on YouTube. And YouTube thought to itself, I see you've watched the trailer for it. You must want to see every pirated scene from this movie. No, I don't. Stop it. Seriously, my recommendations are filled with Georgie dies scene, Stan terrorized by it scene, Pennywise dances scene. I'm sure that's going to be great. Um, Pennywise attacks Bill scene. They all float scene. I'm like, no, I'll go see the film. I don't want to see people's crappy cell phone videos of the movie. And stop taking cell phone videos of the movie. Put your cell phone away. Turn it off. Put it in your pocket. Enjoy the film. And if you're not enjoying the film, leave. In conclusion, YouTube is stupid. Uh, Fitness says maybe those real clowns creeping around was clever advertisement. I don't know what clowns were creeping around, but sure. Let's see. All right, what's next? So that's it. That's it. Hang on, I've got a cowlick. Darn! Look at this. Oh my gosh! Lay down, hair. Oh well. If I have hair sticking up, at least I have hair, right? Let's see. What else do we want to talk about? Oh well, since I mentioned Octopath Traveler. Project Octopath Traveler, a RPG from Square Enix, which comes out next year, and the demo is available now on the Switch if you have one, which I don't, so I can't play it. Boo-hoo. And Matthew says the demo gets dark. You get to play exotic dancer, I guess, and does some dark stuff. Okay. Um, do you like dance exotically and then slash the throat of your people in the audience? You get to dancey dancey dancey. Hey everyone, you like my dance? Cool. Flamethrower. Ah, we're roasting alive. It's like, well, that was dark. So I don't know. I haven't played it. But I will. Oh yes, I will. Say, did any of you play the Wind Waker, one of the Legend of Zelda games back in '03 or so? One of my critiques of the Wind Waker was that it had its depth of field blur was way too close to the camera, which for those of you who are wondering what that means, it's basically everything in the foreground is in focus, everything in the background is out of focus. Now, this is used in film a lot to draw your attention to something important. In video games, it serves the same effect, and when used in cutscenes or battle scenes or dialogue sequences, it can be in a very effective way to make sure you're paying attention to what the developers want you to pay attention to. But when you as a player are running around an open world, the game has really no way of knowing if you're looking at your character, if you're looking at a tree off to the right, or if you're looking at the clouds or the mountains off in the distance. So it doesn't know exactly what you, the player, are looking at. So it's pretty dangerous to have everything further than 15 feet away out of focus, which is what Wind Waker and other games do. Pretty much everything outside of 15, 20 feet is blurry. It looks terrible. It's a terrible, terrible, terrible idea. And if you're a game developer who does that, you should be ashamed. And so should the developers of Project Octopath Traveler, because holy biscuits, turn off the depth of field blur. When I cross this bridge, I want to look at the beautiful scenery, not a blurry damn mess. Now, this could be used in clever ways. For example, there I saw a shot from the trailer where your character is wandering through a cave, a spooky cave. And that depth of field blur could um, communicate you not knowing the area, you being lost in a cave, you it being a dark cave and you can't see beyond the light of your torch. That can be a way to get that feeling across. But out here in the middle of wherever this person is walking, the background should be in focus. So that's a stylistic choice that I very much disagree with. So, I mean, the game still looks fun, but man, I wish they would turn that depth of field blur down or preferably off. Again, like in in cutscenes and conversations and dialogue scenes and fighting battle scenes, that can work really well. But when you're walking around, I may want to look at the background and the scenery and see what's going on, and it's just a blurry mess, and they don't like it. Uh, let's see. Oh, hey, Hellboy. They're making a new Hellboy. It's not Ron Perlman, though, which is a shame because Ron Perlman's awesome. I don't know the dude. I heard his name, but I don't know who he is, so I forgot who he was. But here's a picture of the new Hellboy. Yeah, he's red, he's got horns, he's got the hand of doom. Looks like Hellboy. So, yeah, I'm fine with that. He looks a little weird with his hair down like that, but it's fine. So, Hellboy. And what else we got here? So Nintendo did the Nintendo Direct this this past Wednesday, and I took a very, very, very late lunch at work and watched it. And to my surprise, I was actually able to watch it live. For the last year, streaming stuff from Nintendo, live streams, Nintendo Directs, and the Nintendo Treehouse stuff, I had to watch them on replays because the streaming just didn't work. It would constantly stutter and pause. No one else really no one else that I talked to seemed to have that problem. So I don't know if it was my setup, but my setup didn't have a problem streaming anything else. So who knows? But I was able to watch this whole event live, and it was a fine event. Little disappointed that we still don't know what the hell Retro Studios is doing. I would like to know what Retro Studios is doing because they do good stuff. And I'm sure they're still doing good stuff, and I would like to know what that good stuff is. Oh well. We also did not find. Matthew says YouTube, Twitch doesn't work well in your office. They stream on those. They both work fine, just not for Nintendo. And I always stream on YouTube because I can, unlike Twitch, unless they've changed it recently, YouTube you can pause and go to the bathroom or do work stuff if you're at work, and then pick it up where you left off. Twitch is live, and that's it. So, Matthew says, we'll know retro. Well, he guesses retro stuff at E3 2018. Well, sure. I'll keep guessing at every event because we've been guessing for years. We're finally going to see what retro. Oh, okay. Next, maybe this Nintendo Direct. Nope. Maybe this Nintendo Direct. Nope. Or E3. Nope. Next Nintendo Direct. No. And we've been doing this for like 3 years now. When did Tropical Freeze come out? Like 2013, 14. It's been like 3 years, 4 years. Jordan says, I'm really afraid after reading the title of this stream. Don't worry. Don't worry. It is safe. So, yeah, I don't know why although I didn't have problems with the live stream this time. It had been a problem for last year, but hopefully this was not an aberration. Hopefully it will forever work. What else about the event stuck out? I was genuinely really the fact that they didn't talk about retro didn't really find that surprising. What I did genuinely find surprising is Nintendo did not announce what the hell the story DLC for Breath of the Wild is. I'm sure they know at this point, but I'm just gonna make a guess that when Nintendo, a bit before Breath of the Wild launched, when they announced the DLC, they said, we're having a DLC. It's going to come in 2 packs. The second pack is going to have some story DLC and a new dungeon. My guess is at that time, Nintendo had no earthly clue what that content would be. They're probably still putting it together. I'm also guessing that Princess Peach's tiara being another Cappy Ghost thing is a fairly recent inclusion. I'm gonna guess that when we saw the Mario stuff half a year ago, even she wasn't invented yet. Nintendo is probably like, hey, we need some motivation for Cappy. All right, how about, hey, Princess Peach wears a hat. That's a Cappy Ghost too, and it's Cappy's sister. So Mario's going after Peach, and Cappy's going after Cappy, sister Cappy, whatever her name is. And there's not. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. It's just kind of the feeling I get. So, Matthew says 4 years, so we're due then. Game dev is 3 to 4 years. Yeah, but Retro Studios should have enough people to do more than one game. It shouldn't be one game out of the studio every 4 years. But then again, I honestly don't know what their situation is. Maybe there was one point where they were working on 5 games at once. Most of those projects got scrapped. They lost a lot of people. Um, but even if it does take 4 years to make a game, you usually know about it somewhere along the development cycle, you know? Um, Matthew, safe bet we get a Zelda Direct? Yeah, probably. Jordan, heat of the moment sounds like you're trying to justify a not quite so justifiable homicide. I'm not sure homicide is really ever justifiable, but I mean, I suppose self-defense and stuff like that. But where was I? Oh, Nintendo Direct. So yeah, I was genuinely surprised that we still don't know what the story have absolutely zero details on what this story content is. You know, the part of the DLC that everyone actually bought the DLC for. I don't I doubt there were many people who were like, new story and dungeon's nice, but I really want that travel medallion. Yeah, probably not. Jordan says, breaking news: TSA says, though fictional, please don't bring bombs to kill the Dodongo. Just refill when we land. You need to workshop that joke there a little, Jordan. Um, hey, you think we'll get Xenoblade Chronicles 2 before we get the last bit of Zelda DLC? And I was very surprised to see a 2017 date. Not just 2017, not just holiday 2017, not even December 2017, but I think they said December 1st. They gave it a specific day. So usually when Nintendo gives something a specific day, it's coming out. If Nintendo just gives a year, add a year to it. If Nintendo gives a season to something, add a year to it. Yeah, if they give a day, then it usually comes out that day. Um, I was in some ways kind of hoping Xenoblade Chronicles 2 would be next year, if only because the build of the game we saw at E3 was not ready for prime time at all. Oh, biscuits, did that game look rough. Now, maybe that was a old build of the game. Maybe they've made a lot of progress in the last few months, a combination of both. Um, we'll see. I'm sure the game will be good. Um, Jordan says, is the Zelda content a good excuse to put Skyrim on Switch? You mean the the Link costume and shield and sword? That's I think for a lot of people, portable Skyrim is enough of an excuse to put Skyrim on Switch. Because I know a lot of people who are absolutely chomping at the bit for that game, even though it's 6 years old and has been on everything except the Wii U. And you can buy a better, although non-portable version of it for half the price right now, and have been able to for nearly a year. Uh, they're still charging $60 for this game, which is incredible to me. But some people really seem to like portability. So there you go. Um, I have absolutely zero interest in Skyrim, portable or no. The Elder Scrolls. I've talked about this before, but the Elder Scroll games just don't do it for me. Let me close these because I don't need them anymore. Let's see. Yeah, no retro, no Zelda. Although they did talk about the amiibo, and they're like, "Oh, we'll have the amiibo." It's like, I don't care about the amiibo. And I'm still angry that you're apparently locking content in the DLC behind amiibo. That's scummy beyond belief. It makes me utterly sick. I hate that. It really, really, really bothers me. Matthew points out Switch is getting Doom and Wolfenstein 2. Yeah, there was a nice surprise. So next year you can play a lesser version of a game that's 2 years old and available and cheaper on other platforms. And we're also getting a version of Wolfenstein 2, which was unexpected but nice. And fortunately, it's not coming out until 2018, but it's coming out on everything else at the end of October, I think. So, yeah. So you'll get a lesser version of that game next year when the better looking versions are cheaper. I'm sure it'll sell great. And I don't mean to poo poo ports of older games like Doom, but that's all we're getting. Uh, we're not from the AAA space. We're getting plenty indie support. We're getting plenty of newer titles, and I don't even mean exclusive. I mean just new games. Most of the stuff coming to Switch from known developers is old games, which is fine, which is great, which is valuable, which is nice stuff to have in the library. But when that's the only thing the library has to offer, that's well for me a problem. I mean, may not be for you. Jordan says if Andrew had a Switch, it would have the cleanest touchpad since it will always be docked. Yeah, I. You know how many times I used off TV play? Zero. Literally zero. That sounds like a generalization. No, literally zero. Why the hell would I ever use that? I'm not saying it has no value, but I live alone, so no one is hogging the TV. So why would I play the game on the touchscreen when I can play it on the TV? Well, there, Kirby and the Rainbow Curse. That one only works on the touchscreen, so that, I wouldn't say that counts as off TV play because you can't play it on the TV. Um, that's the thing that I've never understood is, and I want to be clear about this. I'm not saying portability or off TV play or anything like that has no value, or that you're weird or something if you like those features and make use of them. What I'm trying to communicate is I genuinely don't understand people who prefer that lesser experience, that that quantitatively, demonstrably, measurably lesser experience. I don't understand people who have the option to play it on the TV but prefer to play it on the gamepad. I don't understand people who have the option to play it on the TV, but it's like, no, no, I think I'll go outside and sit on a park bench with my dog and try to work around the sun's glare. That I don't get. I don't have a problem with it. I mean, it's not like I want to beat you up or something if that's how you prefer to play your game. I just don't get it. So, um, what else we got here? The Switch is, says Matthew, is Vita 2.0, but with way better first-party support. But I'm okay with that. Sure. Uh, I'd say the Switch has better support all around than the Vita, not just first party. Although Nintendo is always going to have better first party support because it's Nintendo, and Nintendo is the best. Matthew says people who travel a ton for work. Yeah, that's what I mean when I say I'm not saying that portability has no value. Because if you have a 40-minute commute on a subway to work, it, that's great. You know, that's a great place to play a video game. What I'm saying is I don't do that. I don't travel for work, and when I do travel, I'm driving, so I can't play video games. Um, again, just to be clear, what I don't understand is the preference to play it on the portable. I mean, it's like people who would sit on the couch in front of the TV and choose to play it here instead of there. To me, that's like sitting on the couch in front of the TV and watching a Netflix film on your phone. Why would you want to do that? I genuinely do not understand that desire. That makes no sense to me. And again, I'm not criticizing or ridiculing. I'm merely stating I don't get that. It's fine. You prefer to watch stuff on your phone? All right. Again, I don't get it, but doesn't doesn't affect my life any. Um, yes, Matthew. Again, I am absolutely aware of instances where portability would be valuable to a gamer, but I don't share in any of those circumstances. So it doesn't mean anything to me. And again, I'm not saying that portability has no value. It doesn't to me, but I'm not saying it has no value to anyone. I'm glad that the Switch is filling a need for a lot of people because a lot of people really love it. Again, all I'm saying is I genuinely don't understand people who would prefer to play a game on a smaller, lower quality screen when they have the option to have a better experience. Now, if you have now again, I'm talking about this excludes, of course, people who have some type of visual impairment where they kind of have to play games like this so that they can see them. Well, of course you would prefer to play it on the handheld because you can't see it on a 60-inch TV because if you press your nose against the screen, the screen's too big. Here, you can pretty much see the entire screen when it's up in your face. And that's great. Again, it has value, just not for me. And so what the Switch does is it trades something I do value, uh, raw graphical and performance ability, for something I personally don't value and have no personal use for, portability. That's not a great trade for me, but a lot of people seem to like it, so that's good. Let's see. All right. So my favorite thing from the Nintendo Direct would be the Mario stuff because Mario Odyssey looks fantastic, and every time I see it, I'm just like, my golly, that it just I need this in my life. I really want to play this game. It looks so, no one does just unabashed fun like Nintendo does. Their games now, other people, you see other games, it's like, man, that looks great, that looks awesome, that looks interesting. Nintendo, you see that Mario, and you're like, my gosh, that just looks fun. That looks so fun, and I could use some more fun in my life. My absolute favorite thing was, let me get the picture. Frilled Lizard Mario. Oh my god. Oh, so cute. And it doesn't come across in the screen, but if you've ever seen a frilled lizard run, it has this weird little waddling, like its hips are fused and it can't actually track its legs forward at the knees. It has to splay its knees out and then just kind of do a squat with your feet out and then run just rotating in your hip socket without moving your knees. That's how they run, and that's how this little guy runs, and it's amazing. So that's my favorite thing from the entire trailer. And of course, it uses its frill to fly too, which frilled lizards don't, but that's okay. So game looks great. Um, Jordan says humor doesn't always work through text, so excuse the context issues. Yeah, no problem. You'll probably notice occasionally I'm looking over this way and going, I'm reading the chat and trying to figure out what some people are saying. Matthew says Doom did just fun. That opening level, yeah, Doom's fun. I'm not saying Nintendo's the only one who does fun, but Doom is also, awesome and hardcore and gory and funny, and it, it doesn't, for me, it doesn't distill down to just pure fun the way Mario does. Mario isn't awesome in that same sense. Mario is just pure unadulterated fun. Or maybe Odyssey's going to suck and the trailers are just really misleading. Who knows? Um, but yeah, there's a lot I liked about the new Doom. I really did admire the way they handled the character of Doom Guy, who the game is always trying to tell you a story, and your Doom Guy, the character you're playing, just does not care. He could not care less. Uh, he'll see a video log. The most famous example, it's fairly early in the game. He'll see a video log of stuff. And the guy's intoning plot to him, and he just grabs the monitor and he shoves it away. The other famous one. I'm trying not to spoil any of the great ones. These are ones you've probably seen. Are there's a, I don't know, a bomb, or a, not a bomb, a like a power source they're supposed to disable, and someone's telling him now unscrew the thing. He just punches it or stomps on it. It's hilarious. The Doom game is it is really good. um I recommend it. Unless you hate first person shooters, then well, there you go. um Jordan's talking about a Mario Kingdom Warriors game. Yeah, that would work. Oh man, you know what really doesn't look good? Fire Emblem Warriors. And I've been sitting here thinking, do I think Fire Emblem Warriors looks like crap because I'm not a fan of Fire Emblem? I don't hate Fire Emblem, I'm just not a fan. I don't think so. I mean, I suppose that's possible, my bias and all. But I think the game just genuinely looks bad because I played Hyrule Warriors and I loved it. This one looks mechanically bad, graphically bad. And it releases, I think, this month or next. It looks really, really bad. It looks unfinished. Look at the animations of any of the Pegasus Knights. It looks like there's placeholder animations. It looks terrible. Hope it's fun though. I'm not gonna get it. Um, Matthew says some people are saying Mario versus or Mario plus Rabbids is best Switch game. Have not played it, but I would say yeah, it probably is, because it's about the only exclusive on the Switch, which I hold in higher regard than games that are not exclusive. Um, Although it's doing it, it's locking content behind pre-orders and amiibo, and it has season pass. So I said, you know what? Not buying it. Forget it. The game's already $60, and you want me to buy a bunch of amiibo and a season and a $20 season? No, 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 nope. Sell the entire game for a fair price, and I'll buy it. It's that simple. Sell the entire game, all of it, not pieces of it, not most of it, all of it, for a fair price, and I'll buy it. If you chop it up into chunks, if you lock portions of the game behind other expenses like amiibo, I won't buy it. You get $0 from me. I already won't pay 60 for a game. So if you're essentially charging $100 for a game, you get zero. It's like Samus Returns. I said this on Twitter earlier in the week. Metroid Samus Returns just came out Friday, I think. Um, Way back in E3 when they announced it, I was like, I would rather play it on my TV, but I really don't want to play it on the 3DS. But damn, this game looks fun. And then they locked content behind 4 different amiibo. The game costs $40 and requires an additional $60 worth of amiibo to access content in the game you already paid $40 for. Samus Returns costs $100. Nintendo wanted $100 from me. Now you get zero because I'm not buying it. I was a little worried about Mario Odyssey because we knew they were having the wedding clothes amiibo, and here's a picture of them. And they are awesome looking. I mean, as figurines, they're great. I think they're really cool looking. I'm personally not a collector of figurines, so I don't want them. You know, and I'm certainly not paying $15 a piece for them. But they are groovy for what they are. But I shouldn't be required to buy something I don't want in order to unlock content in a game I already paid full price for. So we knew they would have functionality in the game. My guess was that they would unlock the costumes that they're wearing. And if you look at this infographic, it's a little blurry, but you can see that it says receive Mario's wedding outfit, receive Peach's wedding outfit, receive Bowser's wedding outfit. They also do stuff like gain temporary invincibility, which you could do anyway by collecting a power star if those are in the game. Receive a life up heart, which I'm sure exists in the game somewhere, and reveal regional coin locations for Bowser, which is fine. You know, it's a little super guide thing. And I'm a little uncomfortable with that, but you know, it's not locking out content per se, so I'm fine with that. But I like these costumes. I would like to wear these costumes in the game. But I can't unless I buy $45 worth of amiibo on top of a $60 game. And I was about to throw my arms up in disgust. There's a T on the end of that word, disgust. Until I actually noticed the fine print on the bottom of this slide, which you probably can't read. But it says these costumes. Actually, let me look at my own source file. Actually, I can't because it's too damn small. But what it said is these costumes can be acquired without amiibo as you progress through the game. Oh, well, that's good. That's how it should be. If you want a shortcut to unlocking the costumes, plunk down $15 for one of the amiibo and you can unlock it right now. Or you can unlock it in the game. Probably buy them at the costume shops, like every other costume. Or perhaps you have to beat the game. Or maybe you have to collect all of the power stars or power moons or whatever the hell they are. That's fine. But you should not gate content in your game behind amiibo or anything else. Don't do that. Don't do that. I can't say there's much consequence because I am one of very, 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 very few people who will just say, you know what? I'm out. I'm not buying it. You pull that crap, I will not buy it, period. I am one of incredibly few people who will actually do that. So I can wag my finger all I want and say don't do that, but Nintendo's going to keep doing that because a lot of people are perfectly willing to buy a $60 game and a couple $15 amiibos. That's the way it is. And I've heard the arguments. It's like, well, amiibos, unlock things in lots of different games. Hmm, sure, except they release new ones that you have to buy with pretty much every new game. Breath of the Wild has a bunch of new. I mean, sure, you can use some of the older figurines to unlock some stuff, but you have to buy Archer Link and the Guardian and that whole series of Breath of the Wild toys. You have to buy the four Guardian ones, the ones that come out at the end of the month or the end of October, whenever the hell they come out, to unlock crap in the DLC that you bought for the game that you already paid full price for. Samus Returns. So if you happen to own Zero Suit Samus and or regular Samus from the Super Smash Brothers line, hey, great. You already own them. You can unlock stuff in the game you already paid full price for. But if you want the rest of it, you're going to have to shell out another 30 for two brand new amiibo. Splatoon 2. Yeah, you can unlock some stuff with the old Splatoon amiibo. But they've got brand new amiibo just for this game. Mario and Luigi, the new Mario and Luigi game that has the plus minions. New amiibo! The Koopa and the Goomba. New amiibo that unlocks stuff. I hate that. I really hate that. Oh well. Of course, it's kind of silly, right? To say, well, gee, Andrew, yeah, I mean, I see where you're coming from, or maybe you don't. You think I'm a dipstick, um, but hopefully, I'm articulating my opinion and perspective clearly. And even if you disagree, you can at least see what my train of thought is and see where I'm coming from. You still might say, well, Andrew, are you really going to deny your I mean, yeah, that stuff I can see why you're annoyed by it, but you're really going to deny yourself the hours of fun you would still have with the game just because you're gated away from a small amount of content that you feel you should have, that you feel entitled to simply by paying full price for the game? Yeah, I'd call me entitled, but I do feel entitled to all of a game's content when I pay full price for a game. That maybe that's just me. Um, but I agree in ways that it is kind of silly. It's like you're not going to play Samus. The game is great. I mean, yeah, the amiibo stuff sucks, but the game's still great. Or Mario plus Rabbids, you're not going to play it just because of that. I mean, it's a great game. You're missing out on a great gaming experience, and that's very true. So, what I will probably end up doing, and have done in cases like these before, is what I do is I total what the entire cost of the game is, from my perspective. To me, Metroid Samus Returns costs $100. I won't pay that much for a game. I won't pay 40 for a handheld game. So this one's probably out of my reach. It's also mitigated by the fact that I don't want to play it on the handheld. So that one's a much easier choice. But let's look at Mario and Rabbids and stuff like that. $60 game. I don't pay more than 50 for a video game, plus $20 season pass, plus amiibos. So we're looking at about I don't know, $140 maybe for the entire game. So what I do is I wait for the base game to drop down to a price that I can then add the rest of the content. So if the season pass stuff for Mario plus Rabbids is stuff I want, then I need to wait until the game drops to at least $30 until I buy it. $30 plus the $20 DLC equals 50, which is a price I'm willing to pay for a game. What I can also do is just buy it really cheap used, which means Nintendo or Ubisoft or whoever gets no money. None. You don't get any of it. Although I guess they get the $20 for the season pass. Or a lot of times what I do is I just wait years until the inevitable Game of the Year or Gold or Deluxe Edition comes out. Like they just announced Resident Evil 7 Deluxe or Gold Edition, which includes all the DLC. They haven't priced it yet, but it's probably going to be $40. Glad I didn't buy it back in January. Now I can buy the entire game for cheaper than the base game, and that's great. All I had to do was wait a year. I got plenty of games on my shelf to keep me occupied until then. LA Noire has a deluxe edition coming out, which includes all of its DLC. That one took longer. That was about 6 years, but that works for me. So, yeah, I am but one gamer, and my contribution to Nintendo or Ubisoft or whoever's money bank, it makes no difference. Whether they have my $50 or not, they don't care. That doesn't matter to them. So me saying I'm not buying it, they're like, that's great, dude, because plenty of other people will. Means nothing, but it makes me feel better. And isn't that the important thing? From my perspective, though. I haven't been paying attention to the chat, so let me see what you gentlefolk have been saying. I love Fire, says Monk. I love Fire Emblem, and this Warriors sucks, but I hate every Warriors, so don't take my word for it. Yeah, Warriors is the Musou games are very particular. You either like them or you don't, and I know people who like the the Warriors games, and some of the games they don't like. So take it on a game by game basis. Jordan, you're losing me, man. Matthew, blame Nintendo fans for buying Amiibo. Yeah. I mean, I don't blame anyone for buying Amiibo. Amiibo are cool. I don't mind the existence of Amiibo. I think Nintendo figurines are great. I personally have no use for them, but I do love art books. I love, like coffee table books. I love art books, behind the concept art and stuff like that. I love that stuff. I'll buy stuff like that, but the figurines, cool as they are, and they are genuinely cool, it's not what I'm into. But I don't blame anyone who likes the figurines and, well, they unlock crap in my games. Most people I find buy Amiibo because they like the Amiibo. I don't know too many. I don't actually know anyone. I'm sure they exist, but I've not come across anyone who's like, I buy the Amiibo for the stuff that they unlock. No, most people appreciate the stuff that they do unlock, but most of the people, everyone I know who buys Amiibo, buys them because Amiibo are cool. And that's totally fine. That's great. I don't mind the Amiibo. I don't mind the fact that they do interesting things in games. For example, I don't mind when you scan most Amiibo in Breath of the Wild, it just gives you a bunch of consumable items. That's totally fine. That's fine. That's cool. It just gives you carrots and apples and steaks. This is consumable crap that you can pick up in the game anytime you want. Climb a tree, pick an apple, murder a bird, get a steak. That's fine. That's a fine use for them. Little bonus stuff, not content not unlocking content, but giving you bonus stuff. Remember, the Amiibo don't have anything on them. It's not like there's a new level in the Amiibo and the Amiibo is transferring its level into the game. That's not how it works. It's just a key that unlocks content that's already there. So there are uses for Amiibo that I think are perfectly fine and perfectly fair, and nice little rewards for the people who like collecting Amiibo. Oh, you got these Amiibo? Great, we'll give you some extra fish. but don't give them an exclusive fish because I paid $60 or whatever for the game. I am entitled to all the content in the game I paid full price for. Thank you very much. Um, Trey, why not just buy the game and play it without purchasing the amiibos? Because then I'm missing out on some of the content that I already paid for, and that makes for that fact hangs over the entire game and makes for a irritating experience for me. Most people, most gamers, look at this and they're like, eh. So a couple extra guns or whatever, or a couple extra costumes or whatever that I don't get access to. It sucks, but whatevs. Totally fine perspective. I'm a stickler. I'm a pain in the ass. That really bothers me. I play the entire game knowing that content that I paid for is gated away until I give them even more money for stuff that I don't want. That bothers me. That makes for a lesser experience for me. If it doesn't bother you, that's great. I'm glad it doesn't bother you. Let's see. Sean says, with Splatoon 2, none of the gear you unlock in it is any better than the stuff you can find in the game. Most of it's actually worse. Ditto for Breath of the Wild. That may be true, and I'll take your word for it. That doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Because it's content in the game that I don't have access to, even though I paid full price. Doesn't matter if it's better than anything else in the game. I may want that pair of sneakers because I think they're cool. That's just the way I look at it. Do 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 do. Sean says the crap they pulled with Metroid Returns is total crap, though. Yeah, I mean, especially when the content you're locking out is content that has historically been included in the game. You know, like extra difficulty modes. Don't do that. Harder difficulty should never, ever be DLC, paid DLC. Don't do that. Don't do that. Sound test modes, concept art galleries, costumes. This is all stuff we used to enjoy in exchange for paying full price for the game. Back in Resident Evil, if you beat the game really fast, you got a key to a closet to play with some extra costumes. It was there. I mean, you had to work for it, but it was there for you. I've talked about this before. There's a game called Galgun, which is a rail shooter about I guess a kid in high school who all the girls are horny for him and they're trying to jump his bones, and so he shoots them, not with like a 9mm or anything, but with like a anti-love gun or something. I'm not sure what he does, but basically, there's horny girls attacking you, and you have to shoot them with the chill out ray. That's goofy, and that sounds funny, and I want to play that. But it's $40. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to pay it for $40. But I was looking at it on the PlayStation Store, and it has a bunch of costume packs, which is fine. But they're all $15 a piece for like a small amount of costume. There's like $100 worth of costume packs for that game. That's just sleazy. Make a game, sell your game, call it a damn day. Stop with this bullshit. It rubs me the wrong way when a game has enough DLC to outprice the actual base product. You know, and Persona 5 had this problem too. It had these I forget what the actual prices were, but it would have a costume set for your four main characters. It was like $6.99 or $7.99. I'm like, you're kidding me. $7 or $8 for one costume set? That's absurd. on top of a $60 game. It's like, yeah, you already gave us $60 for the. If there wasn't a precedent for games having a huge, I mean, look at Xenoblade Chronicles X. Look how many damn costumes are in that game, or outfits, or armors, or whatever you want to call them. Yeah, it's a $60 game. It's got a bunch of crap in it. You didn't. Stuff just bothers me. Sorry. Um, Mixtape says Andrew isn't getting a Switch. I don't think. No, I'll definitely get one. Mixtape also says I can't afford a $60 game. Yeah, it's partially because I'm cheap, and it's partially a budget thing. Honestly, I won't lie. Um, I try not to. I rarely ever spend more than $30 on a video game. Usually, I wait until they drop in price. If I ever pay $50 for a game, it's because it's something I really, really want, like the new Yakuza games or Mario Odyssey. And Mario Odyssey is something I really, really want. And since they don't appear to be doing, at least so far, that locking content behind the amiibo crap, I'm happy to shell out $50 for the game. I know it costs 60, so I'm probably not getting it at launch, but we'll see. Um, let's see. Trey says just a costume, stuff like that. I don't care. When I get a DLC code in a game, I never use it or forget. Yeah, if this stuff is genuinely not important to you, well, hey, then it's not important to you. Me though, I'm such a pain in the butt that even if it's content that I don't care about, um, it still bothers me. Like a harder difficulty mode. I would go through all the art galleries. I'd play in the sound test mode. I love stuff like that. But extra difficulties, I'm a one and done kind of guy. I I don't play games again just harder. That's because there's too many games to play. I move on to the next one. Uh, it's like, well, if you don't care about the extra difficulty mode, why do you care about the extra difficulty mode? Because it's the principle of the thing, damn it. Um, and it genuinely is. A lot of it is the principle of the thing. Let's see. Mixtape says about those gamers that don't mind. Most of them never lived in a time when you get everything you paid at when you got everything when you paid at release. That's true. Not everyone is 37 like me. Some gamers are 12, and they grew up in the days of DLC, paid day one DLC, and season passes, and microtransactions, and day one patches, and crap like that. So they don't. They've never known anything else. I mean, you try to explain to a young gamer today, it's like when I was a kid, the game you bought in the store was the game you had forever. It never changed. But what if there was a bug in the game? Then there was a bug in the game. And hopefully it wasn't a game breaking bug. There's actually a game breaking bug, a game that soft lock bug in, I think it's Majora's Mask for the N64. If you do something specific, there's a room with a cannon in it. If you do something specific, you will never be able to get out of that room again. Yeah. So it's nice these days that if something like that happens to sneak through QA, they can fix that through a patch. But like all potentially good things, a lot of developers and publishers will just abuse that and say, "Oh, well, we'll just release a broken, buggy mess and then fix it later." That's another reason I tend not to buy games at launch, because I don't trust them to, one, work, or two, be complete. You know, for instance, there was an update for Mario plus Rabbids, and we talked about this last week or the week before. Mario plus Rabbids had a Title One update a few days after launch, which added story scenes and improved some animations and AI and graphics. I'm like, well, I'm glad I didn't have the game at launch and play it immediately, because I would have paid full price for a game and had a lesser experience. And I would have felt like in order to get my money's worth, I have to play the game again to play it as it should have been the first time. So these days, a lot of times, yeah, it depends on the title, depends on the developer. I won't buy a game at launch. I'll wait a while, see if it works, see if they're going to start releasing more content for it. I'm like, oh, you're going to do that? Yeah, no problem. I got a shelf of unplayed games. I'll busy myself with those. When you're ready to release the entire game for a fair price, then we'll talk. Let's see. Laxter says, would it change your opinion if the data for the gear is actually on the amiibo rather than in the game? For example, a Wind Waker tunic for Toon Link amiibo, so that the amiibo isn't an unlock key. Absolutely, yes, that would. If the content, if the amiibo were actually adding content to the game, that's a completely different thing. And I think that's actually the impression that a lot of people have, especially younger gamers and non-gamers, maybe their parents. It's the Skylanders thing, right? A lot of people think, oh, the essence of this toy is being transported into the game. The character's model and animation and sound data is being imported. No, no, it's just a code that says, oh, you scanned Lava Barf dude. So we'll queue up all of that stuff which is sitting in the game. Amiibo do not add content to a game. They unlock content that's already there. And that's the problem I have. Is your gating off content in the game I already paid for? Um, if the now there's something to be said for, well, that tunic would have been in the game if it weren't for the amiibo. They took it out of the game and put it in the amiibo so that we had to pay $15 for a tunic for one costume. That would be annoying in a sense, but it would at least it would be a lot preferable to me. And maybe this just comes off as overly pedantic or as a needlessly semantic argument, but that's genuinely how I feel. Amiibo aren't adding content to the game; they're unlocking it. If they actually added content, it's like, okay, fine. You want that tunic? It costs $15. I think really the best thing Nintendo and everyone else could do with these things is say, um, oh, do you want that content? If you have the amiibo, you can unlock the content. If you don't, you can pay a fair price to download it. Right? Like, hey, if you have the Samus amiibo, you can unlock a new difficulty mode. Or if you don't want to track down a potentially hard to find $15 figurine, you can pay us $1 and unlock it right now. That's still crappy, but it's less crappy. See, the stuff that the amiibo locks away that I may or may not want require me to track down, again, potentially hard to find or even impossible to find, 15, sometimes even more, dollar toys or figurines, amiibo. It would be nicer if, I mean, especially if the content were actually on the amiibo. It's like if you have the Link amiibo, it will put a Link tunic in the game. Oh, great. Link tunic ain't worth $15. That's right. That's why you can also buy the Link tunic for $1. All right, costume for $1, still a little pricey for me, but yeah, sure. So if you want the costume, it's $1. If you want the amiibo, great. You got an amiibo and the costume's for free. There are better ways to do this. Or at the very least, there are ways that would make me happier, but would make Nintendo less money. On the other hand, if the content that's gated behind the amiibo were actually available for a cheaper price, I think overall Nintendo would make more money because there would be people that say, I don't really want the amiibo, but this is a small feature that I would like. Uh, as I said earlier, most people buy amiibo for the amiibo, not the small things they unlock. So, da, 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 da. Jordan says back in the day, cheat books were another form of DLC since you were accessing things you normally wouldn't by buying a book of codes. Um, kind of, but I guess you could also just look at the codes and memorize them or ask your friends. I mean, especially if you're talking about Game Genie codes, you had to buy the Game Genie. Um, it depends on what you're talking about. I mean, if you have the code, you can unlock the content up, down, down, left, right, BA, start. You got it. You don't have to buy a figurine of Contra Dude. You just know the code. You may know the digital ID of the Mario amiibo, but it doesn't do you any good unless you have the Mario amiibo, unless you have some type of hardware that clones NFC tags. Lava Barf Dude. There is a Lava Barf. I forget what its name is. I don't even have that one, but I do remember the character. Um, Eruptor or something like that. So someone look up what the hell that Skylander's name is. Um, Sean says there's also like a $90 DLC in Galgun that gives you X-ray vision to see anime panties. You're right. I'm pretty sure that is the game. It's either the first one or the second one. There's a Yeah, that one doesn't bother me as much because it feels like the developers or publishers or whoever were like, we're going to do this just to see if anyone does this. It's like, do you really want to see cartoon underwear so bad that you're going to pay $90 to do that? All right, let's see if it almost feels like a social experiment more than anything else. But I would rather just look. You made a game, you have a game. Tell me what it costs, and I will decide if I want to buy it. Uh, because downloadable content for me is saying no more than our game costs $140. Oh, well, then I'll wait until it's cheaper. Thanks. Um, but for a lot of gamers, the game is $60. Okay. Hey, if you want this content, buy this $15 toy. Okay. $15 is nothing. Hey, $20 DLC. Ah, okay, $20, nothing. Well, we're already up to what, $95? To me, what you're saying is this game costs $95. Oh, well, no thanks. I'll wait until it's cheaper. So I really wish it's like figure out what content you're going to put in a game, decide what that should be worth, and charge me for it, and I will decide if that's an appropriate price. That's the way I see it. That's how it works in Andrew's world. Um, Jordan says, "Hey, explain the amiibo concept 5 more times." Yeah, I've been hammering this one. Mixtape says it doesn't make Nintendo less money. There are people that want the Metroid amiibo, and it's impossible to find. They'd make money if they had that content be downloadable. That's yeah. That was a point I was trying to articulate. Is there are people like me who, or well, maybe not like me, but there are people who would pay a small amount of money for the content, but not the large amount of money for the amiibo. So instead of getting a small amount of money, Nintendo gets zero. So I don't think if they made the content available for cheap, they'd lose a lot of amiibo sales because I don't think there are a significant number of people who are buying amiibo specifically for the content they unlock. Because none of the content that the amiibo unlock remotely approach the purchase price of the amiibo itself. So there are precious few, if any, people who actually do that. So Jordan says, any thoughts on the new 2DS? I no. Um, the Pokeball one is kind of funny looking. It's it is kind of funny that nobody cares about 3D, and it wasn't just the video game industry that learned that. That was pretty much um, Uh, Sorry, I was unblocking a message from Jordan there. He had die. I think the word die got your message blocked. Anyway, Jordan says DLC would die if we were like you. That's not bad. I'm just stating a fact. Yeah, if everyone had my opinion, then there wouldn't be DLC or pre-order bonuses or microtransactions or season passes or there might actually be amiibo, but they wouldn't work in the way that they do. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a curmudgeon who wants to take your fun away. I want everyone to have more fun. I don't want to take the amiibo away. I want to change their functionality. I want them to stop gating content behind them so that everyone can enjoy the content. People who like amiibo can enjoy amiibo. People who want the games can enjoy the games. So, yeah. And God, I probably hammered on this amiibo crap for 45 minutes. But yeah, Mario Odyssey does look good, and I'm glad we haven't heard anything about season passes or anything like that. Because man, hmm. I think I'll hit on one last thing. Jordan, your comment was blocked, and I just had to approve it. Um, that's an automated thing, I guess. It was probably the word "die" in your comment that blocked it. No big deal. It happens. I've seen that a couple times over the last few weeks. Um, Sean says without DLC, games would be more than $60 new too. That's probably not. I think you might just see less DLC. I don't think people would pay more than. I mean, we may get to the point where they start raising the average prices of games again to 70, maybe. But I was really $50 has always been the absolute most I'll ever pay for a game. Um, when several years ago, the average game price went up to 60, I said no, flat no, absolutely not. I refuse. I will not pay $60 for a video game, which is not to say no game is worth $60. I don't believe that. I just won't pay that much for a video game. Um, and I don't think DLC by itself is a bad thing. It really comes down to perception. If the DLC feels like something that was or should have been in the original game in the first place, then yeah, it's crap. But if it feels like a legitimate expansion pack, then yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I'll give you an example. The new Super Mario Brothers Wii U had that new Super Luigi U expansion or DLC, which was I think $20, but it felt like a brand new thing that they added to the game that wasn't originally part of the plan. I mean, it came out at least 6 months later. I think timing has a lot to do with it too. Again, the perception is very important. The perception is probably more important than the reality because you can rip people off as long as they don't feel like they're being ripped off. And that's a very cynical thing to say, but it's probably true. But that I had no problem dropping 20 bones for 80 new levels. I, or however much it was. I mean, the levels are on average slightly shorter, like maybe 20 to 30% shorter, mainly because you have a shorter time limit on those levels. But that was great DLC. The Hyrule Warriors DLC was they did a season pass type thing that had an amazing amount of content in it. I mean, it's recycled all the existing areas, but it just added new stuff and hundreds of hours if you actually did all of it. The new 3DS version, that is when the DLC started getting a little stupid. But Mario Kart 8, also great because Mario Kart 8 feels like a full complete game. And then they said, okay, we are for a really reasonable price. I think the two DLC packs were like $8 a piece or 12, 13 for both of them, something like that. And you got, and each pack had like four brand new tracks, three new carts, characters, or three new characters, three new carts, something like that. That's great. That's a lot of additional content. But when DLC is stuff like difficulty modes or stuff that feels like it should have been in the game in the first place, it, again, a lot of it is perception. Sean says Witcher 3 had great DLC, but I don't think any game's DLC can ever touch Fallout New Vegas. Um, uh, I've not played either game. Fallout doesn't do it for me. Witcher I just haven't got around to. But yeah, I hear the Witcher 3 has great DLC, and again, the Witcher 3 DLC feels like the expansion packs of old. I mean, it's not like you can't. The DLC or the expansion pack should feel like something new, not enough to be its own next game, but also not content that was literally carved out of the experience to sell you again later. Because if it feels like something that should have been in the original game, new new Luigi U does not feel like something that was in the original game and carved out. It feels like a new thing that was done uh, post release. So that it may have been planned from the beginning, but it doesn't feel like that. So, and this is tricky because a lot of people feel different ways. Um, so yeah, a lot of it's perception, I would say. So DLC again, not necessarily a bad thing, but for me, if you announce DLC before the game is even out, well, that leads a lot of it now feels like you're holding back pieces of the game to sell to me separately. And me personally, I'll say, oh, well, okay. Yeah, when you're ready to sell me the entire game, Resident Evil 7, I will happily buy it because Resident Evil 7 looks great. So, I think that horse has been beaten enough. At the end of the day, Mario Odyssey looks really, really wonderful, and I'm looking very much forward to playing it. Hopefully, I can find it for sale somewhere for at least $50. And I have to find a Switch too, but it doesn't come out till I think October 27, so I've got some time. In the meantime, debut review. The last week of episodes is this following week. There's only three more episodes, I believe, and then there will be a finale in which I recap what I watched at least episode 2 of, and let you know what my favorite show of the season was. Let's see, what else am I working on? Oh, I'm of course going to be doing the. Is the Switch still hard to find in my area? Asked Sean. I haven't actually looked recently. I probably checked out like Walmart's electronics section a couple weeks ago, and there weren't any there. So I haven't really tried to find it, but I still have never seen any on store shelves here. So, um, yeah, maybe another couple months and they'll be easier to find. Don't know. Don't know. Really, it's going to be as soon as I can get my hands on Mario Odyssey for $50 or less, then I'll start worrying about a Switch. But I'm not paying $60 for it. So, oh, that's one thing I did want to say. There's a Yakuza 6 comes out next March, I believe, and it has a pre-order bonus that comes with a art book. Now, I think they're still working on the art book. It's hard to tell how it says it's a hardcover art book, but if it's only got 10 pages in it, who cares? Also, there's a contest going on now for people to submit their stuff so that it can get in the art book. I'm like, you don't have an art book done yet, do you? As I said, I love art books, and if this is a decent art book, I would happily pay $60 for the that edition of Yakuza 6 because I would consider it $50 for Yakuza 6 and $10 for an art book. And that's totally fair to me. So that's one way to get me to pay $60 for a game is put extra stuff in it that I'm interested in. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is doing something similar. It apparently has a 220-page art book. No idea if it's hardbound or what, but 220 pages? Wow. Can't say I've been really keen on the art I've seen of the game so far. I'm not really digging its style. But Monolith Soft does some great stuff, and I'm sure their concept art is absolutely gorgeous. And I'm a sucker for, as I said earlier, concept art and art books and stuff like that. So that would be something that interests me, especially a 220-page art book. I mean, the art book comes with. Hang on, just a sec. I've got a prop. Hang on. Ow. The hell is it? Well, okay, so I can't find. Oh, is it in the case? Hang on a sec. Where the hell is it? I know I had the Xenoblade Chronicles art book, but I can't find it. Oh, here's the last story art book, which is glued, but it's pretty thin, but it's still nice. It's got some really nice stuff in it. Some character designs. It's really brief. It's not really a book. It's more just a collection, and it came in a nice box. Um, so Xenoblade Chronicles 2 comes with a 220-page art book, which sounds meaty and sounds really cool. And so I looked it up, and it's $100. Number one, I don't pay $60 for a video game. We know this. Number two, I'm not paying $40 for an art book. Or if I consider the game to be $50, I'm paying $50 for a 220-page art book. I mean, unless this book is like this big and has glossy page stock, and which it probably does not. I don't know why they think they're going to get it. Now, to be fair, it does come with a soundtrack CD and something else, stickers or something. But it does that thing where it's the soundtrack CD that's like selections from the soundtrack, like 10 songs. Give us the whole soundtrack. Nobody likes selections from the OST. Nobody's satisfied with that. I mean, sure, if you want to do a CD, go ahead and do a CD with, I mean, only so much music fits on a single CD, right? So do the best of the soundtrack CD and then just give me a download for all of the tracks on iTunes. You can do that. You can release the entire. The internet's big. There's enough space. You can do that. Stop being a putz, because we're just going to take all the tracks that we really like and put them on our own playlists anyway. Stop doing that. I mean, yeah, it's better than nothing, honestly, but that's so frustrating. Anyway, so hey, Codename, we're just signing off. So good of you to drop by, though. Ah. Sean says, thanks for debut review. It saves me from watching awful anime. And you're welcome. And there was a lot of awful anime this season. Yeah, last spring wasn't too bad. There was actually some interesting stuff that season. This summer, oh, 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 bad anime. Um, I mean, there was some stuff that I liked, but there were a couple shows I saw this season that were phenomenally boring. One you'll see next week, I think on Wednesday, was so boring. I actually paused it and went to do the dishes because I was so bored. I'm like, I want to do the dishes. I don't want to do this. I watch this anymore. And it also had a show that I thought was just the most repugnant thing I'd seen in forever. Um, Codename says, "Well, an audio CD can only fit 80 minutes of music," and you're right. I made that point. And they probably don't want to go through the expense of releasing a 6 CD soundtrack, which is fair. So do a if you want to either don't do a CD or do a bests of CD, and just give me access to the entire soundtrack, because few people are going to be happy with excerpts from, because there's always going to be stuff that's you love, that track you love, that's not on there. And here's the CD of all the big ones, the main ones, and here's the a link to or a voucher or whatever to all the for the entire OST on iTunes or whatever. That should be fine. Anyway, so did I hear that we got info that Doom single player will be on the game card and the multiplayer will be an optional download? I think I did hear that. That does sound familiar. Um, that's fine, I guess. I mean, I guess I'm kind of glad that they put the single player on the card, because that would be the portion I'm interested in. I mean, I'm not going to buy the game on the Switch. Why would I? It's better on every other platform that it's been released on. So, um, unless you really want to take Doom on the go, in which case, hey, yeah, the Switch is it. Switch is it. Um, so yeah, portable Doom. Want to play Doom on the subway or the airplane or whatever? Switch got you covered. Can't do that on the PS4 or the PC. Oh, laptops. That's right. Well, the Switch is more portable than a laptop, I suppose. Kinda, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, a laptop you kind of have to have a bag for. A Switch you can put in your pocket if you have fairly large pockets. Um, and they both have around the same battery life, I guess. I mean, an unplugged laptop lasts about 2 or 3 hours, I suppose, depending. And so does the Switch. Oh, I'm sorry, Jordan. I must have missed something. Let's see. Wish I had something to show you from the anime manga idea I had. If ever possible, I'd still like to send fan mail, so keep that idea in mind. See if the others like the idea of a fan mail option. Yeah, Jordan, someone's talked to me before about getting like a PO box. Unfortunately, that's fairly expensive, and I not getting sent that much stuff. So, I mean, if there's something you really, really want to send me, DM me or private message me, and we could probably work something out. But I don't have the budget for a PO box, um, because also PO box are priced by size. So, uh, a small, you'd pay $30 a month for a small PO box, and then whatever someone sent you wouldn't fit. And I don't think I'm anywhere near popular enough to need an actual PO box. But if there's something you really want to send me, contact me privately and we can work something out. Um, so you can tap the Mario amiibo and you play as Mario and Doom. Okay. Except that that would be a feature that's unlocked. Basically, what they're saying is, hey, pay $60 for a 2-year-old game that looks better on every other platform, but at least it's portable now. Oh, and give us another $15 and you can play as Mario in the game. Branding wise, they probably wouldn't allow that. Yeah, I mean, sure, he Mario has a gun in Rabbit Mario plus Rabbids, but I don't think they want Mario tearing. Well, I mean, it would just be a Mario costume. It's a first-person game anyway, so I guess you wouldn't see much more than like Mario's red sleeves and white gloves. I don't. Trying to think if there are any sequences that actually pull back and show Doom Guy. Maybe the little Doom Guy dolls that he finds in the various nooks and crannies in the game could be replaced by a Mario doll or something. But I don't know. I like the Doom Guy doll. I like the fist bump that he gives the Doom Guy doll. That's hilarious. Great sense of humor in that game, really. Okay, so that's enough uh, angry ranting about amiibos from me. Uh, we can do that more next week. I'm gonna go see it tomorrow morning, I believe, and hopefully Pennywise doesn't look as goofy as he does in that one shot. And if you missed the beginning of the show, I mean, where is he? There he is. There's Mr. Wise. That's... oh God, I'm sure that works in context. oh wow. Oh, that is that's silly looking. Um, I hope I don't lose my cool in the theater and start giggling like a madman. Hopefully that works better in context. That is the silliest thing I've ever seen. Oh man. Um, so all right. Anyway, Andrew Eisen here. Eisen is how you spell the last name. Plug it into YouTube. Find my videos. Debut review is coming to its conclusion. One more week to go on that. Um, um, and follow me on Twitter at Andrew Eisen. Mixtape says, "You ready to be jump startle scared?" Yeah, I'm gonna guess that that picture of Pennywise is one of those uh, boo kind of thing. You know, he jumps out from the dark, accompanied by a really loud orchestra sting. You know, it's all dark, and suddenly, you know, it's just it's, with bomb, and the score goes wah, you know, at 100 million decibels, and everyone's like, "Oh God!" It's like scared you. It's like, no, my ears. Uh, I honestly thought that was like a Photoshop job or fan art or something by the first. I was like, oh, come on, that's not from the movie, is it? And people on Twitter are saying, yes, it is. I'm like, oh no, oh no. But I've read about, as I said earlier, I read a bunch of reviews, and um, no one said that Pennywise looks ridiculous. So either this works in context, or it might just be me. Um, Codename says, I'm glad Switch is getting Doom and Wolfenstein 2. If it sells well, maybe we might get the opposite effect compared to Wii U. No, we're not. No, no, nope, no. Sorry. No, all we're going to get are old games. Although we are getting Wolfenstein 2, which is cool. I mean, we're getting it after everyone else. Wolfenstein 2 comes out this fall for everything but the Switch, and it comes out for the Switch sometime in 2018. Probably going to be too late by then. The people who want it are gonna buy it in the fall. Same thing with Doom. I don't know how. I mean, I'm sure there are a few people who are like, "Ooh, portable Doom, that's great," but I doubt there are that many people. It's like, "Oh, finally, it's on a platform I can play it on." It's on PC, it's on PS4, it's on Xbox One. Come on. Um, I mean, again, it's nice to have that stuff, but really the Switch is just going. I mean, unless something changes, the Switch is just going to receive a lot of good indie support, I think. But from the main companies in AAA, it's just going to be old games, ports of old games. We might get some of the new stuff like Wolfenstein 2, but it'll come out half a year later, or we'll get FIFA 18, and it'll be missing features. We'll see. We'll see. Um, Sean says, I don't know. They let sexy Princess Peach costume in Bayonetta 2. Maybe they'll let Doom Mario. Yeah, that's true. Codename says, I'm fine with ports. I don't own a PS4 or Xbox One, so getting ports is good for me. That's true. I mean, if you own a Switch and you don't own any of the Sony or Microsoft consoles, then you are going to get versions of games that are worth playing. I mean, Doom is absolutely worth playing. Uh, Wolfenstein 2 looks like it's going to be great. So if the Switch is your main or only console, then absolutely. But that's not a lot of gamers, I don't think. Keep in mind, I'm not saying the things I say don't apply to every single gamer. They are generalizations. So Jordan says it's safe to assume that we all make that Pennywise face at kittens, like Andrew. Yeah. Sean says we're getting Wolfenstein 2 late because it comes out the same day as Super Mario Odyssey. Fair enough. So release it 2 weeks earlier, or 2 weeks later, or 4 weeks later. But at least probably 10 weeks later at the bare minimum. I mean, they didn't even say like winter 2018 or January 2018. They said 2018. That makes me feel like Q2 at the earliest, you know? And there's precedent for stuff like that happening. When the Nintendo console gets a port of games that are coming out in the fall, its version comes out like March or April. So, I mean, man, if the Switch was getting Wolfenstein 2 the same day, and you know, Wolfenstein 2 and Super Mario Odyssey are two totally different games. I don't know how much they would be cannibalizing each other's sales, you know. Um, I mean, games are expensive. Not a lot of people can, oh, I'll just buy Mario and Wolfenstein 2. But, and I agree, I think a lot of people, a lot of gamers, and especially Nintendo gamers, would pick up Mario over Wolfenstein. I know I would. But I would certainly pick up Wolfenstein later. Well, actually, no, I wouldn't. I'll get it on the PS4 because it will be better on the PS4. So, um, Jordan's Skyrim on Switch. We can speculate on Fallout 4 on Switch since the Nintendo Bethesda connection has been made. Sure. Fallout 4, game that came out 2.5 years ago or something like that, and so hey, maybe they'll have fixed some bugs by then. Maybe it'll be like the most bug free, Fallout 4 bug free version. Ah, wouldn't that be something? Okay, I'm gonna hang it up. We've been at this for almost 2 hours, and I'm starving to death. So, gotta eat. Gotta, psych myself up for the scary clown movie. Scary clown. Scary clown like this guy. Oh my gosh. Can you imagine Bill Skarsgård trying to talk through that? I'm guessing that that's an entire prosthetic on the front of his face. Rather, that's not dentures. That's an entire prosthetic piece on the front of his face, or maybe just CG. Probably not. That looks practical. Kind of a blurry image though, so it's hard to tell. But I'm guessing it's the same effect that they did with the gal in Fright Night. If you've ever seen that, you see her on the poster, big open mouth, lots of teeth. They do that with just a prosthetic piece that fits on the front of her face, and it looks really cool. That looks goofy. Fright Night was cool. So, okay, that's I mean it this time. Yes, I'll let you know how it is, and maybe I'll do a live review party or something tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow evening or something like that. So that's it. Follow me on Twitter at Andrew Eisen. Watch my YouTube videos, and come back next week for another rousing episode of the Molehill Mountain podcast. Thanks for keeping me company, folks. It was a lot of fun. Catch you later. Bye-bye.